In this video, bringing you guys the new Ragnar Bloodline full showcase. So if you guys are unaware, this is going to be a Thor-inspired bloodline. It is overall a pretty good bloodline, and I'll be going into a little more in-depth than I usually do for this showcase. So let me know in the comments if you guys enjoyed this more than the other, showcases. So if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, let's get right to the video, guys. Now, the first move is going to be sort of a ranged block-breaking move. I do think that if the AoE is very far, this move will be extremely broken, but if it's a mid-range move, it'll be okay. So this move does around 40,000 damage with normal stats, and it actually is a block breaking ability. Now, while this doesn't have hand signs, it does require some startup, so it's the equivalent of, I would say, about 3 hand signs. So I would say it's a 3 hand sign block breaking ranged ability. So it's really comparable, honestly, to Mecha First, but on the bloodline slots. It does equal amount of damage. It's kind of the same sort of ability. It just has different visuals overall. Now, the strengths and cons of this move, obviously the strength, it's a ranged block breaker. That's always an amazing thing. I do think people are going to use this simply because it's new. People kind of forget about Mecha a lot, so that's kind of the reason why they don't use Mecha. So I do feel like this block breaker may be used a bit. It just depends on how the meta actually is at the time. Now, the cons are going to be obviously that this is kind of range locked. So I'm pretty sure that if you use this move on someone, half the time it may not even work. I'm pretty sure it just depends on, you just have to learn the AoE and stuff. So it is kind of it's one of those moves that you have to just get a good feel for. Now, the second move is probably extremely comparable to Odin Wolves. That's kind of a thing I can actually compare it to the most. I actually think that this move is exactly like Odin Wolves, but it has a stun effect instead of a hit stun effect. Now, with this move, it actually has the potential to do lots of damage, around like 80,000 damage with stats. If you're modded, it could do up to like 120,000. Now, the main issue with this ability is going to be the fact that it does have a bit of startup. So it's going to be, I do think that this move may be somewhat difficult to actually integrate into combos, just because the stun isn't consistent. So there's gaps in the stuns. It does have some startup attached to it. So this move may be extremely hard to use because you also have to be worried about, double stunning people while using this. So it just all depends on whether or not people can actually, get the move off in the middle. If they can, it's pretty bad. They probably need to fix that. But if they can't, it's probably a pretty good ability. Now, the strengths of this ability are obviously going to be that it's like pre-nerf Odin Wolf. So it is a pretty good combo extending ability, and it does do a lot of damage. Now, the cons of this ability are going to be the fact that there are tiny gaps within it, so you may have to accommodate for it. Now, obviously, the third move is kind of the one that I think people are going to be using quite a bit. It's actually extremely comparable to Doku Tengoku counter. So I think of Doku Tengoku counter, but instead of being a bunch of punches, instead of draining chi, it's just an instant damage ability. I do think that this ability overall, I do think that it could be a lot better as an ability. It's okay. It's a ranged counter. It's a pretty good damage starting ability. It does have a Ragnar stun attached to it. So I think in the end of things, it is an okay ability. I do think that this ability, could be useful in a lot of different scenarios, but it's just kind of, like if it's only range of best to worst counter, I would say it's a very, it's probably like, 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 counter. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. Obviously, the strengths are going to be that it's a ranged counter. That's a very good thing to have. And the cons of it are going to be that, there's just better counters in the game. Now, let's get started with the mode here. Obviously, with the mode, you do have the buffed M1s. The M1s, they're kind of like strange M1s, honestly, but they do a little bit less damage to strange M1s. I mean, it's honestly up to you whether you like that or not. But the actual abilities of this bloodline, the C-Spec, I'm just going to say here, guys, the C-Spec is terrible. It is a completely horrible C-Spec. I'm sure you could find some use. Like, dude, if you can't hit people in team fights, pop the C-Spec, I guess, run around like you're a chicken with its head cut off and just run around the map trying to hit people with this. Half the time, this move will be completely useless. So I think this mode really isn't that great overall because the C-Spec is literally borderline useless. I would also like to take a second to look at the stats. Stats are very mid for a mode. It's kind of just average stats, honestly, not very high at all. Now, the Q-Spec is going to be an ability where basically, the thing I would compare it to, it's literally just like Bruce Dragon Stomp. It's literally just that ability. It's the Bruce Stomp ability, but in a weapon spec. It's literally the same exact thing. It does a little bit more damage. Very borderline being the exact same ability. So for this bloodline, I do think the strengths and the cons of the bloodline, obviously the strengths. It has a really good, ranged block breaker. It does have a lot of damage output. It does have a ranged counter. But the cons are that the mode is pretty terrible, honestly. Not to hate on the mode or anything. I think it looks really cool, but it is a pretty terrible mode. So that's going to be kind of the major con of this, is that you're basically going to be using this without mode 100% of the time. By the way, guys, what was your favorite part of the new update? Forget to comments below. We'll be checking them out. All right, so I am of course going to be doing the PvP. It's going to be with Odin. I think he's using Naru. Yeah, definitely going to use my counter. All right, boom, weapon spec. Okay. All right, we starting off with this. Oh, he frogged me. He frogged me. You know what it's time for, guys? Oh, where? Oh, okay, he's back. Woo, it's C-Spec time, boys. It's C-Spec time. Click. Oh, he just used it again. All right. You didn't block my break. You didn't break my blocker-rooney. He somehow hit me with that. Just gonna keep blocking. Hit him with the counter. All right, it's time, boys. First move into second. All right, that's it. I'm weapon specking. No, I messed up. Wait, what is this? Okay, this guy's not very good at PvP, it seems. Click. Second move. I'm still gonna get that damage off. Oh, dude, I just dealt 100,000 damage to this guy. There's no throwable Spec, just so you guys know. Boom, hit him with that. Boom, first ability. All right, it's fine. Let me just charge my chi. What's up, man? Boom, counter. Oh, did you intentionally miss? Come here. You're not allowed to intentionally miss your M1s. Okay, dude, okay. I was wrong about this bloodline. This bloodline is actually good. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe. Hope you see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.